Good evening, morning, afternoon, night, whatever it is, and welcome back to another virtual DDD meeting. With me is Marco and Christina from Virtual DDD, and Ben, welcome back again. And a lot of other people in the room today willing to do Wardley mapping with us. So last time we went through a couple of approaches to Wardley mapping and eventually did some Wardley mapping. And this time we thought, let's turn it around. Let's start with the Wardley mapping and take that approach, and which will be the small group diverge converge. So that means we're gonna split ourselves into 3 groups. 1 will stay in the main out and 2 will go into the breakout room. We're gonna all model the same problem in Wardley, and you will get to see the ones that's in the main breakout room with Ben and Marco. And then, well, then we come back in, what, let's start with 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Sounds good.
And what's the domain, or what's the problem actually?
So the domain today will be home chargers for electrical vehicles. And I'm very excited because I've never done a Wardley mapping in person. So I'll bring some questions and some answers about the domain and let Ben explain the method.
No pressure for me, huh?
No.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm excited to get us started here.
Yes, cool. So I'm going to open the rooms and I'm going to set a timer, 20 minutes on Miro.
At the moment, stop. What's the problem? So we now have, if I have the domain, a big one, fuzzy one, but what's the problem?
Well, then I would say the problem is that the user needs to have electricity to charge his electrical car. That could be the problem. Is that what you're after, or?
Yeah, let's map the problems and find out.
Yeah,
We'll find out after 20 minutes what everyone did.
yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, just jump into it.
Just jump in, and that's the experiment. A bit of anarchy
Shaking her
as well.
head.
Cold water, yes.
Just anarchy.
Okay,
You can learn
Okay.
swimming in an empty pool, right?
let's go. Have fun. 20
So
minutes.
take care with the charger if you are jumping.
Oh my goodness. I think I'd only want to jump into an empty pool with a car charger. Wouldn't want the other ways of that working. That might be a short map. All right.
Wonderful. Okay, so let me share the screen so that the audience can see what we're doing now.
Good
I
call.
hope this works. This works. Wonderful. So yeah, this is our map. It's an empty thing, and I have no clue what we're doing. So Ben, could you
I love
enlighten
it.
me?
Excellent. Okay. So a Wardley map is a model of the world. And so it's going to have less things in it than the world, but it is going to look kind of vaguely like the world. And the way we structure this model of the world is we think about who is getting value from a system. Presumably, it could be a market system, like an entire market. It could be just our company and what's happening inside the company. It could also be just me as an individual or you as an individual. So kind of like right off the bat, we want to pick a scope. And the way we can do that is like focus on someone who gets value from this system. So we could go with the person who's charging their car. We could go with maybe a property owner who is installing this for their clients or their renters or something like that. Hipster car owner sounds awesome. So, all right, tell me about this hipster car owner a little bit.
So yeah, the hipster car owner is a young programmer in the Valley, right, living in America, and
The Valley.
following every trend on the market, drinking only Starbucks coffee, listening to Spotify music, watching Netflix, and driving a Tesla, of course.
I feel like you don't have any feelings about this at all.
I'm just messing with a stereotype. So,
Of course.
So yeah, hipster car owner is someone who is really living the Valley life and driving a Tesla. And problem is, right, it's a vast country, and you can't only charge your car in the company parking lot. You in your home want to charge your car overnight. So
yeah.
of course you need a home charger for your electric car. That's the only way to be really hip.
Okay.
And then you can visit all your hip friends who also have electric car chargers, and then you can go over the country.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Do you think this person? So they live in the valley, do you think they own a home, or do you think they rent one, or where is this thing at?
That is a very good point. Well, in the United States, if I remember correctly, people own homes, right? They don't rent that much. I mean, in Germany, you would rent most of the time.
Nobody tell them.
I'm not sure.
No, we can't afford it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, welcome to this generation, right?
That's fair enough. Yeah. Ta-da!
Okay. So yeah, renting houses like in Europe, same thing. So yeah, it's a rented home, of course, and yeah, that's a problem because in a rented home you can't just tear down the wall and pull some new cables through the ground. You need to be creative and find ways. So a home charger needs to be kind of plugged into the normal electrical grid, probably.
Okay, that makes sense to me. All right, so we got a little bit of context. We've got a hipster car owner renting in the valley, drinking Starbucks, all this fun stuff. Okay, what do they need from the situation? And maybe this is gonna be hard to ask because it's gonna be tempting to say, well, they need to charge the car, but I'm gonna say that's not good enough. What do they need from a charged car? What does it enable for them?
Oh, we're going deep philosophically.
Yeah, we're going deep. I think Wardley Mapping is about ontology and understanding states of being. So we'll see if I'm right in.
Yeah, I would first of all I would invite the whole group. Oh, we have 3 people. Okay, so yeah, if you have also ideas, just post it, right?
Yeah.
Let's be a bit chaotic in exploration here. I think what are the need? What's a deeper need? Autonomy.
Freedom. I think that's the deeper need, right? Like not being, not having to go to work to charge your car, but being able to do it in front of your home, something like that. Yeah.
All right.
Autonomy. Yeah, love that one.
Excellent. Okay, this is great, and this is going to be really excellent for us because I think it's going to set us up to make a fun map. What's always funny is the thing that we want to focus on, we need to place it inside the next biggest system. And so we're kind of playing that game right now. It's oh, this is in a system that is producing autonomy and helping with trade-offs around environment and costs and things like that. So now the question is, what are the capabilities in play that are coming together to produce those needs? And this is usually a really vague question, but it's don't overthink it. It's what's going on here? What are the parts of the system? If there's a black box sitting in the road, and if you open up the box, you're oh yeah, all those parts are coming together to produce autonomy and transport. What's inside there?
So yeah, picking the trade-offs between environment and cost, right? It's if you pick your own electricity provider without changing hardware or without changing actual physical distribution, you can just choose to take green energy, pay a little more probably, or maybe even not, who knows in the future. But yeah, you have total freedom in changing your provider because they all use the same infrastructure.
Even as a renter, I can do that.
Yeah,
which is kind of wild.
Right. So the capability would be the freedom of provider choice.
Yep. And what we're doing is just kind of creating some buckets of concepts that we can dig into later. It's almost like creating options. We don't want to get too deep too fast. We want to kind of keep things shallow and get a nice breadth of understanding about what's here. And then we can kind of, I keep using the term double click, but I'm gonna keep doing that apparently today. We can double click on those things and zoom in. Oh, what's in here? Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so autonomy and transport, what's that? Yeah, as long as there's any kind of electricity, that means even I can be self-sufficient. Possible. So I can put solar panels up or wind energy in my garden. Possible self-sufficiency is a capability I gain with this.
What about the technologies that are involved here? Obviously, autonomy and transport doesn't happen all by itself. Are we assuming it's a car? Are we assuming that it's that kind of autonomy, where you own a vehicle or rent one or something along those lines? Because autonomy and transport could probably be accomplished.
Yeah, amazing. That's a good idea. So yeah, we said home charger for electric cars, but we didn't say we need to use it only for ourselves, right? So we could actually, it could be another need. We could earn money with it and provide a service.
Sure.
Being able to provide how to charging service service for others. So our friends can come to our place and charge their cars. We could even take back energy from the battery or put it back into the battery. So this can go multiple ways. You can use many people's cars, and you can suck out the energy you put in. Not clue what kind of service you would provide with that. I'm going to empty your battery for free.
Which, who knows? Maybe there's something for that.
Well, I mean, if there's an energy shortage, bring all the Teslas to the cable.
That's a good point. Yeah, they can power our workbenches or our air conditioners or what have you, which I hear isn't so much a thing in Germany. But let's think about the other like kind of basic parts. Like we've got a power grid, right? We've got a, or is that an assumption that I'm making? Batteries.
It's a theoretical power grid, I would say. I mean, there's the commodity underlying would be the national power grid. I don't know if it's a national thing or it's a commercial thing in the US, but in Europe, we have a national power grid. So all the cities provide a power grid. Like the cables are not owned by a company, I think. But yeah, then all the companies rent into that.
Okay, so we got a power grid, and like let's connect the gap right here between like autonomy and transport and the power grid. Like there's a series of things that are connected by dependency, and what enables what else. And so let's find out what those things are. And I like kind of tracing from the bottom up. So what does a power grid enable?
First, sorry for a second.
Go ahead.
How is a power grid to capability?
It's in Wardley mapping terms, like we kind of have sort of a set, like a typology for what can go in a map. And I tend to like ignore it entirely, but as a guide, it's a useful kind of thing to think about. And the typology is activities. So these are things that you do, which also includes things like power or compute or shoveling or whatever it ends up being, or driving. Like these are things that you do. Power generation is an activity in this example. It can also be practices, which is how you do them. So when I write software, for example, the how might be I use agile practices or extreme programming or something like that. For strategy, my how is Wardley mapping, but I could use Porter's 5 forces or something like that. Like that's a different set of practices. Yeah. It can also be data and knowledge. And so data just being how you measure it, and knowledge being how you understand it. I think when we're mapping like this, when we make models, we're producing knowledge. And so our conception, our understanding of a thing is also going to be kind of like our understanding of how the power grid works is its own independent thing from the power grid itself. You know, there's a difference from the knowledge from the actual activity.
Yeah, got it. Okay, thanks.
So yeah, like I imagine like there's a vehicle in here somewhere.
Obviously, somehow. So I mean, I'm a car owner at least.
Okay.
So there's a car in there.
So okay, it's a car. It's an electric car, right?
Of course.
Okay. And then I imagine there's some sort of like between the power grid and the car. How does the car get charged? Because I think that's what there's a charger. I see that, and I guess there's probably batteries too, right?
Oh yeah, the Uber USB charger wasn't meant as the thing to power the car. That's a service that the station can provide. You can charge your car, but of course, I mean, you have an electric car and an electric charger. You can also power your laptop or your phone with it. It just gives you more freedom. It doesn't have to be constrained to car loading.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah,
excellent.
So it could even power your house when the power grid is down. Let's say you have a lot of storage there. It doesn't just have to be instant power grid to car battery. It could also be a buffer battery, storing energy at night when it's really cheap, or depending on your contracts, right? So you harness the cheap energy, and during the day when your solar cells are collecting energy, you also recharge it. So yeah, storing energy makes a lot of sense. And if your car is for a long time now you have to write because I'm babbling.
No, you're right.
If your car is out of use for a few weeks, if you know that you're not driving, you can unload the battery to 20% so it doesn't, take damage over time. And you can use
that's a good point. Elsewhere. Like there are practices for battery longevity.
Yeah. I know. Don't hold me to the science of 20%. I'm just making up numbers.
Well,
there will be data, and then you can adhere to that data.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Okay.
Also, I found another need for the same. Let's just stay with the one user right now.
Okay.
I found another need for that. It's not being vendor locked in. So, of course, when you have an electric car, you buy a Tesla, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind. There's this T-shaped cable, I guess, and you put it into your car and it loads. But if I get an Apple car, I also want to be able to load it. I don't want to, get another box into my house. I want to have a universal power charger for electric cars with interchangeable plugs.
Okay. So there's so
my need is to not be vendor locked in, and the capability would be interchangeable power plugs.
Got it. So there's a plug. Okay. So here's what I'm starting to see. So there's a plug. There might be a plug adapter for the interchangeability.
Yeah.
And then
of course there needs to be a converter because they have different voltages, different amperes, and you need to be able to deliver the maximum amount that any company would want, and then you need to be able to convert it down to whatever voltage they accept.
Absolutely. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and then somewhere on here is the charger itself, I guess. What do we call that? The charger pack or the whatever? I don't know.
What's the charger itself? You mean the thing that puts out of the energy grid into the car?
I think so. Yeah. What should we call that? Is charger fine or is?
Yeah, I think that's the common name, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Transformator, trafo, charger.
Transformer. Oh yeah.
They all work. I mean, if you have a plug and a plug adapter, then the transformer would be the thing in the middle, I guess. Unless it's a box. If it's a black box, you can call it the charger thing.
Okay.
But also, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What were you gonna think?
So what I also want is that nobody else can use my charger. I don't want people to drive by at night, plug in their car, quickly charge it, and then keep on going because I don't want to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I want some kind of either physical or digital security. And I want to have a protocol. I also want to be able to see. I want to see how I've been doing. So see usage data.
Okay. Yep. Okay. We've got a lot on the board, and so what we need to do is start making sense of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everything that we put down here. I'm going to copy it to the right onto the section that says value chain. And now what we need to do is sort of in Wardley mapping, there's kind of a couple different steps. One is understanding what the basic parts are, and we've kind of taken a first crack at that here. And now let's start understanding relationships. And Wardley mapping composes these parts in terms of something called a value chain, which is just a user at the top, depending on the needs that they have underneath, which then go on to depend on different capabilities. And there's an arrangement of dependency from one thing to the other. And we just need to sort out what that is. I think if I'm going to guess, the power grid is probably closer to the bottom here, just because power tends to be an underlying sort of invisible thing that enables a lot of other things. So I'm going to run with that for a second here.
So you're putting basic dependencies on the bottom and
the
higher order dependencies on top?
Basically, yeah. So from top to bottom, what depends on what else? And again, the secret that I always tell people is when you draw a relationship or whatever, you should be able to say the word enables or depends on whenever you read that relationship. So hipster car owner depends on autonomy and transport, and say that all the way down.
Okay, so the batteries depend on the power grid, obviously. The plugs depend on the charger. Or the other way around. Yeah, the plugs depend on the charger, of course. And the plug adapter depends on the plugs.
That makes sense.
So plugs, charger goes more down. Oops.
Always fun when we need things to be locked down, right?
Yeah, I'm going to look that. I can't.
Excellent. Okay, so I think you're right there. The plug adapter depends on the plug itself, because that's what actually adapts it to the car's interface.
So the security is depending on the plug adapter.
There's probably an implementation question there. If it's physical security, then it might be the plug adapter. Could even be a lock on the fence around the house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Power converter depends on the charger. No, the other way around. The charger depends on the power converter, and the power converter depends on the grid.
I'm going to say the electric car probably depends on the batteries. Oh yeah, we need to find out how the batteries connect in to this.
That could be both ways, right?
So electric car depends on batteries. I think that's right. But then batteries depends on.
Oh, there's two different kinds of batteries in this case.
Oh, that's
So
true.
we have the car batteries here. Let's specify that.
Excellent.
Car
That's
batteries.
a signature mapping move, is disambiguation.
And then we have, thank you. And then we have the home thingy batteries. I have no better name right now.
Excellent. Let's roll with that name. I love it.
Okay, doke. So the car batteries, the car depends on the car batteries and they depend on the power grid. Well, that's actually not true.
Yep,
they
you're
depend on the charger or the plugs.
Right
yeah,
on.
I think they depend on the plug adapter actually.
Yep.
And then
or on the security part, because basically, you know,
yeah.
you need to make sure that you have access.
Yeah,
okay.
I would agree.
Yep.
So of course there's something between here. The car batteries don't plug directly into some kind of security, but there's a car plug. So there's two ends of a plug, right? You have the thing in the car and you have the thing in the
Yep.
charger. Okay, doke. So the power converter depends on grid, but the home thingy batteries, brain, do stuff. The charger depends on its own batteries. So, yep, that way.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And it also depends on the power converter, and that depends on the power grid.
Excellent. This is looking really good. And then thinking about the protocol, with the charger itself, like is the protocol and depending on the charger in order to provide usage data, or how is that arranged, do you think?
I haven't thought it through. The idea was to see usage data, you need a protocol of information, and that's basically I would say the charger. The plugs don't really matter unless you want to actually figure out which plugs have been used.
Because there may be like an API layer here that we should separate out from the charger.
Well, yeah, probably.
I'm not a genius in software stuff, so if I do something silly, you'll have to tell me.
I mean, anything can have and use an API, but yeah, it makes sense. So let's keep it there. And then again, the API has probable or possible connections to the plug adapter. Let's make that dotted line and say we're not really sure here, and to the plugs as well. This could be. It could even go to the power converter to actually log the conversion rates or whatever. Possible connections.
I'm just going to connect us all the way back up to Autonomy and Transport and Hipster Car Owner. And we've got, like, not everything is connected, and that's okay, but we've got at least some decent guesses of the first pass of how most of these things are connected. So perfect timing.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen for a moment to say hello to everybody. Oh, they still have a minute to come back. Oh, they still have a minute to come back. Let's quickly use that minute.
Yes.
So what else can we do? Freedom of provider choice. Oh, shit. The USB charger, that's pretty obvious. That's depending on the charger. Here.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
So that goes directly into here, and you are a normal line. And that provides me, I don't know, none of my needs is fulfilled by that, but I wanted to have one. Great.
It's a technology in search of a problem.
Yeah. Okay, great. So
Excellent.
everybody else returned? Yes. In 10 seconds.
They're coming back. Yay.
Welcome back, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Kenny, you're mute, so in case you're talking.
Yes, I was talking. Thanks.
€5.
€5. Oh, and now you can think all of a sudden, Christina.
Because we talked a lot about the problem. We didn't do any. I think it's not a good Wardley map what we did, but we thought a lot about charging and needs and lists.
Good.
Would you like to show us your map?
No.
Okay, I accept that.
Okay, we can, of course. I mean, it's public. It's on YouTube now, so we can surely do, but it's with disclaimer.
Yeah,
I'd always be
the Miro. Or
let me share the screen. So you are group number 1, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So
And I should always say,
guide us through your model.
Never trust a shiny Wardley map. Only trust the messy ones.
Christian, what do you say? Would you like to?
Yeah, we can go from the top. I mean, the central user would be the electrical car owner. You can imagine other users, but we went with focusing on the car owner. And of course, he needs to charge his car, and there was some consideration that it should be cheap, and it should have a good ecological footprint, and it should also be safe. It should be hassle-free, so easy, cheap, ecological, safe. And of course, in order to fulfill that need, you would need some electrical charger. So that's the charger equipment. And in order to get that charger, you would all need to install it. And we were thinking, our mindset here is that we are a company that install these things. We're not producing the charger, but we install it, and we need to plan with the car owner when we can come and install it. And we might also have to dig in this ground to get some cabling connected. And on the long run, we might need to send technicians out to repair it or troubleshoot it. If that were, I mean, just imagine like it was your internet connection and now your router was broken or something, or it's not working, or it's too slow, or you have some complaints. You can always also complain about your charger that it's something is wrong. So for installation, you need technicians. We moved them over here because we were in doubt what's the difference between those lists and value chain. But in order to install the thing, you need some technicians to install it. And you also need planning. You need to get permission to install it from local authority, maybe especially if you need to dig in the ground. Another concern is electricity. Of course, that's a commodity. Everyone can get electricity, but maybe you need software so the user can choose from where he wants the electricity. We also need software to plan all those technicians who are doing what, and they also need to document the installation. So there's some quality control domain involved in all this. But I guess that's all the time we had.
Exactly, we didn't get until the evolution, but we discussed it, and this would be solar panels and not some electricity factory.
Yeah.
This is our improvement.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, spoilers.
It's Wardley Map. It has to have a future idea.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is that this company could be an internet provider, but now, or cable TV provider, but now they want to move into another business area because the competitive advantage is this army of technicians, and they're very good at planning and handling this customer interaction. So now instead of staying in the streaming domain, now they want to move into this home charging domain. And that's actually...
I was saying, I also thought that perhaps this could become an electrical utility play, where the electrical utility installs chargers for people with electric vehicles, and the value they get is not only the subscription revenue, but also it's balancing out the electrical peaks on their grids, electrical grids, and they end up getting more out of their infrastructure because they have all these battery buffers installed, but I'm not sure.
Cool. It's very interesting how different this map is from ours. I'm excited to see the second one. Okay, so group number 2. Do you want to guide us through your model?
Andreas or Matthijs, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. Why not? We just skipped the step of copying over and kind of fluidly went to the value chain by connecting the dots. So yeah, at the top, we have the electrical vehicle driver with some needs. And amongst those are having fun, because why do you need use an electrical scooter or something? Because we said it's not only Tesla or the like, but also hoverboards, electrical scooters, e-bikes, right? All of those are electrical vehicles. And you want to get to a place, simply get to a place while being lazy, so without physical effort. So get from A to B, different ways to say it. When we talk about Tesla, though, or other modern cars in the same class, then driving safety might be a concern for you. You might want to have those advanced autopilots or other driving assistants that just improve the safety while driving. And to do that, you need an electrical vehicle, of course. And then we get to the part where you actually need to charge your electrical vehicle, most probably, and most of the time, I guess, at home. Also while you're on the road, but this was out of scope because we said home chargers. And yeah, you need a charger, connecting wire, some standard socket, also those connectors, at least some older ones, they are highly hackable. So you could just access the car internal buses by just connecting via the connector that you can access from the outside. Maybe nothing for home charger because you might be in your garage, but if you park outside, then maybe this is also a concern. Own parking space, because where is the connector? If you don't own a home, but are kind of a renting in a residential property, an apartment or something like that, then where do you charge? I don't know if that also belongs to home. And towards the end, we also talked about, hey, let's say if you're a homeowner and you have solar panels, you might use that power. Today that's easily possible, but also resell it and allow others to charge the car outside. And then we just mentioned briefly, then there's also the needs for some billing system and the like, but we didn't dive more deeply into that one. And Kenny, maybe you can take over and tell something about the Grow EV market and the other red stickies, rather.
Yeah, so we also want, if you want the environmental friendly, that was the question. But I actually asked that question. I was thinking, if you want to grow the EV market, you need standardized sockets. But isn't that part of the evolution part of Wardley? That was a bit of, oh, wait, yeah, never thought. Now it gets so that we just put it down there and, well, maybe asked it here, right? But if that's why you put it on red to, well, let's not dive into that hole yet, but yeah. And one thing to add is what I've seen in the neighborhood here is that, yeah, people put their home charger on public charger, right? And that's the thing.
Cool. I'm very excited because as a newbie to Wardley mapping, I have no clue what the evolutionary part of Wardley means. So I'm excited to see that step. Yeah, let's go quickly and look at our model. Oh no, we were group here, the main group. So yeah, we picked a user, a hipster car owner, and the needs were autonomy and transport and paying trade-offs between environments and cost, being able to provide charging services as well, and not being vendor locked in with Apple or Tesla cars. And yeah, we did the copying over like Ben told us to. But yeah, it was quite chaotic here to figure out what the actual value chain is. But I think we figured power grid is kind of the base dependency, and we have power converters, of course, that would need to be installed. There's some kind of charger that has some home thingy battery. So if nighttime energy is cheaper or something like that, or you have solar panels, you can actually store the energy until the car wants to be charged. And yeah, the car wants to be charged. You have battery longevity practices. Somehow there's some kind of software involved, right? So the home thingy batteries you can actually take energy back from the car back into the battery system if you don't want your car to be fully loaded without being used. So you have car batteries, and that goes into the electric car, and that's That's a dependency for autonomy and transport. But of course, the charger also needs plugs, because you want to have a plug adapter for different car types. You don't want to be vendor locked in with a certain type. You also have some kind of security between the plug adapter, the plugs, and the car. So that what you called hack safe in group number 2. Same idea, right? You don't want other people to be able to use your charger overnight while you're not there. There should be something that you can control, even without being physically there. Also, you want to see usage data of your car and your battery and your charger. So some kind of software API system where protocols accumulate and data can be analyzed to change what you're doing in the future. And yeah, we didn't get much further. We didn't connect everything. And now I'm really curious about the evolutionary steps of Wardley mapping.
Awesome too. And Christian had the question about the difference between the lists and the value chains. This is just kind of like my very opinionated and definitely not endorsed by anyone other than me approach to mapping. I like to start like really, really small and just make some lists. So lists of users, lists of needs that those users have, and then list of capabilities that might come together. And then I like copying and pasting them over into the value chain, and then using that second step as, okay, now that we have all these parts, let's talk about how they're related to each other. And then we relate them by dependency,
Okay.
what depends on what else. But like, once you've done that once or twice, you might just skip it. Like you might just go straight to value chains, or you might go straight to the full blown Wardley map with evolution, foreshadowing. So, yeah.
Thanks. I get it. Fine.
Awesome.
So one interesting observation I got out of this, and I was talking to Andreas, is I'm from the Netherlands, Andreas is from Germany, and when we were doing this, Andreas, you were talking more about, well, once you charge, you need to pay tax. Well, if you have solar panels, you need to pay tax to if you return electricity to the grid. And in the Netherlands,
yes. In Germany, it's called Geldwertervorteil. Yeah.
Yeah. We have the same, but not yet. It happens in 5 years, and that's really nice. Maybe a bridge to the evolution, right? During the context, because we are thinking about batteries, but probably, maybe, I'm not sure. In Germany, you probably already have batteries where you can charge already by your solar panels, so that you don't need to do that back. So that might be the next step in evolution. So that was really interesting. Well, in this setting, right, of different countries and different, well, environmental things.
Yeah, actually, that fact got a friend of mine to buy an electric car, because it's kind of in order to not pay tax, you just use the energy yourself, and yeah, and use an electrical vehicle.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We didn't make that explicit yet. From these things just now started to pop up after 15-20 minutes, and it was really interesting that through that mapping we got to that point. Interesting. Yeah, didn't see that yet.
I hope the German evolution is in your direction, Kenny, and not other way. Why should we pay taxes for?
Yeah,
other
to
discussion.
be clear, it's you pay tax if you make money off of energy you put back into the grid.
And that's going to happen in the Netherlands too, but only in 5 years.
Yeah.
In Kentucky, we will use the extra electricity to make whiskey.
For example, this is a real good tax.
Make it mandatory.
It's win-win-win.
Yeah. So cool.
Which is the good one? So we have 3 different. Okay, I think our map is not a map. I don't know if it's a map. We have a totally different topic. I have the feeling.
I think that's okay though. Like the reason for diverging and converging in anything is to go explore in some different directions, right? And then come together and negotiate agreement on what could be one, or I often like to help have people build out multiple versions of the way things could be before ultimately converging. But I think like there is no one best answer most of the time to the problem. Like I don't know if Kneven speak is spoken here, but like sometimes there are things that are like there is one best answer, and that those things are kind of rare, but they're You know, it's like vending machine level simplicity, right?
Yeah.
You
Vending
hopefully hit
machine.
the button.
Okay.
Hopefully.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's about perspectives, because you have different perspectives. For me, this is a real world situation where companies doing these installations of equipment and they're moving around, and because of this perspective, then of course the map is different because there are different details on it. And my second comment is about the evolution. If we change the top need to be not electrical car owner, but just transportation, then you have the need to go from A to B, and then the evolution could be from gas-driven vehicles to electrical vehicles. Then there would be some kind of evolution step there, I guess.
Yeah,
I didn't mean that one. I'm sorry, Ben, but we didn't solve the same problem. So what I would like to know, a best practice for the technique, not for the outcome. We solved three different problems now. We cannot put them together, and it's not, this is the good one, this is the right one. But we started with the user, then stopped with one user because of lack of time. Then we started with the list, and we have one moment, we had a very short notice about technicians. I think technicians shouldn't be listed as capability because they are persons. But actually their knowledge and their capability is a capability.
I agree 100%. And for the technique itself, I would say that you probably do this two different ways. One is you could make a new map together using a mobbing approach, which I think we played with earlier, maybe. I don't remember if we did that last time or not. But
no, we can do that now, and also maybe then go into the evolution, because that's something also Marco was hi, I wanted to know this. So
yeah, excellent. And the other thing I'll just mention too is that making a map does not presuppose a problem. And I think that's one of the, important distinctions here is a lot of our techniques out there in the world, people jump to solutions. And so we say, hold on a second, let's define what the problem is first. What this technique is about is discovering what the surface area or what the mess is in order to then extract a problem from it. And so in order to have a problem to even focus on, you have to kind of create a common language for what all the parts are and what does it look like? How did everything relate? And that's kind of the intent of mapping is let's define what the mess looks like, and then we can extract a problem from it and define that problem, and then we can solve it.
I get the feeling here that it's like in many other collaborative modeling methods, it's about inviting the right people, right? So we are a bunch of random folks coming together to learn about Wardley mapping. And then there's does anybody have a domain? Yeah, let's pick this one. Of course, we have 25 different perspectives on totally different worldviews. But if you come together in a company that is actually doing something in a market, and then you bring in all the stakeholders, customers and designers and shareholders and stuff like that, and then you model the same thing, I think there will be higher alignment. Of course, still totally chaotic, different perspectives, but those are the valuable perspectives because they actually matter to the business, and you can actually get tangible results from there. So the chaos in the beginning is valuable. I like that, and even a divergent and emerge. Divide and conquer approach would be valuable in a large company because you get different perspectives and you see, oh, wow, we actually thought we were all on the same page. But now that the stakeholder team and the customer team and the developer team did their own Wardley map and it's totally divergent, it's this is kind of probably part of the problem. Now that's an information in of itself, right? Yeah. But I have a question. We always say map, but this seems to be a graph, not a map, because place does not matter. It's just a relationship pattern. And why is it not called Wardley graphing, but mapping?
Excellent. Perfect lead in to the next part. And you're right. This is simply a graph. It is parts and relationships. And in Wardley mapping, we call this the value chain. And so it's a chain of needs that come together to produce value for users. And the thing that turns the value chain into the map is adding an x-axis that has some particular meaning. And I'll get into that in a second. Before we talk about evolution, the other thing I'll mention is for us, even as a collection of random individuals, one of the nice things that us having diverged and gone off and made a bunch of different maps, one of the nice things about that is if we were to come together and now as a group make a map together, we wouldn't have the blank page problem. We wouldn't have to start from scratch. We basically have created a menu of options of things to talk about, and we can see each other's menus. We can see what each other cared about. And then that's going to aid our discussion as a group, even though we're unrelated, got different backgrounds, got different interests. It can aid our negotiation as we make the value chain again in another iteration. So it's really kind of a discussion aid, making each of the parts, each of the words conspicuous so we can talk about them. But yes.
Just like a kind of preparation. So I prepare for a meeting, so I'm doing it alone.
Yeah.
Collect my ideas and put them on the map. Marco, you failed the exam because Simon said, "Why is a map and not a graph?"
I'm sorry.
You can't,
no, it's not.
Next time I'll do all my prefrontal reading and.
No, I refuse. I refuse to care about what is or isn't a map. I'm sorry, Simon.
You cannot.
So
I can hear him here. Like,
I was wondering,
it's not a graph.
You see?
Can I make one more observation? So what I see in other collaborative modeling practices like event storming, where you work maybe on one timeline as a group, you sometimes get into a lock where you want to stay sync on the event storm, right? And I feel sometimes that people get stuck in there, and then you say, well, can you just event storming out there and you there? And there seems to be a resistance to it because people want to stay coherent to the storm. And what I see here with the diverge converge part, I think that's really valuable because some of these insights that are there usually get suppressed if you all keep it in one group due to ranking and all that kind of thing. So I really, as an observation, I think that's really a pro thing.
There's a huge richness to all of our different perspectives of how we view the world. That's really it.
Yeah. So shall we ensemble map one and then go into the?
Yeah, let's do that. And maybe what we can do on this round is we can use the extremely restrained version of this, where we kind of put a hard limit on the number of components that can go into the map. And that will, we didn't limit that on this first round because I think it's really great to see all the different stuff people are thinking about when they think about electric cars. It's like a glimpse into each of your worldviews in a certain way, which is really cool. But what we could do is, if I just grab a copy of the value chain template, and I'm going to kind of sneak underneath group one, if that's okay. And Kenny, if you don't mind locking that, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
And can everyone find us down here? I'm going to just put like round 2 in big words.
I will bring everyone to.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. So for an ensemble map, we need one person to volunteer as scribe and one person to kind of be the coach, the navigator, if you will. And then
I'm going to scribe and you're going to navigate.
I'd be happy to navigate. If you want to.
Everyone knows what Ensemble, previously known as mob programming, is. So
I just learned it was previously known. I'm learning things today.
I like it previously known as mob, but yeah, that's my own perspective. Go, Benjamin. You want to say something?
No. I understood the word ensemble. I did not understand mob reference.
You got to be from Italy to understand
I think
that.
So basically,
it's my problem. It's my problem.
But it's the same. So you have one person just only able to put things on the board, which is Marco, which is the driver, right? The scribe in this case. Then you have Ben, who's the navigator. So Ben can only talk to Mark. So Marco will only get commands from Ben, and then the rest of us can discuss with each other what Ben needs to say to Marco.
We are the mob.
Yeah. The ensemble.
And I must apologize to the group. I do have to drop off right soon here. I didn't build in time for 2 hours. I hope you all do more of these activities. So thank you very much.
Thank you
Bye.
for joining.
Thank you.
Welcome, see you.
And then first we go into the, so you're gonna lock it, Ben? How many? One, and a few capabilities?
That sounds fabulous. Those constraints sound enabling.
Okay. So what's the problem we're doing today?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question. But Ben said there is no problem. So
There is no
where
problem.
are we? What is our status quo?
What we are hoping to do is, now that we've all gone off and explored in some interesting directions, let's come together to negotiate a very, very simple version of the same thing, of the value chain. And so feel free to let me know if I mess up the ensemble part of this. I'm still new to it. I'm still learning. So feel free to be like, hey, Ben, that's not the way this works. Marco's the scribe. Am I the navigator? And
Yep.
does that mean I'm asking the group questions?
Yeah.
Is that how that? Okay, excellent.
Well,
So
I'm not familiar also with the official one, but the way I see it, you're the only one able to tell Marco what to do.
But Marco is not listening. We see it. He's just doing what he wants, which is not allowed.
Okay, everyone here, I have a question for you. Of the users that you saw in each of the groups, we need to pick one of them to focus on for this minimum viable Wardley map exercise that we're going to do. Who should we focus on?
The owner was on every team.
Okay, any objections to doing the owner of the electric car as the user? Okay, Marco, let's go for it.
No.
What's up?
Sorry if I spoke for everyone, but
if you dissent.
no, okay, then go with it.
You could say, you could do it like in a marriage one, right? Speak up now or forever. No.
Oh my goodness. I didn't know we were getting married, Kenny.
Well, you have a cat, so that makes it really.
It's true.
Stop.
I'm a desirable
Stop it.
person here.
Stop it. We are on the TV.
Oh. See, the difference is you have shame. I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are younger.
Young and silly. So we've got our electric car owner, and we were talking about electric chargers for electric cars. And so I feel I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Does anyone disagree that an electric car and an electric charger should be in the capabilities that is in our list?
It's a good one.
Okay. So now the other question I'm going to ask is, what needs are being met by these capabilities? Or rather, like, what one need, if we had to pick one? Does anyone have any proposals?
We have no idea yet.
The
Vehicle.
charger, I would say the car is a given, but
Only
more?
if
that's why I need a charger, right? But of course, it could be another vehicle, but that's a detail.
Yeah. As we focused on car as vehicle, then the car itself, yes.
yeah, but we need a corresponding charger.
Okay. So
Any charger is
I would still go for the autonomy, right? For the needs part. I
okay.
think
So
that's like
the user needs autonomy.
yeah, it's a good one.
Any objections to that?
Maybe some details. What kind of autonomy? Surely not the driving distance, I guess, at least today still, but kind of autonomy regarding what?
I would say that autonomy regarding the charging, so I don't have to go to the next McDonald's to charge my car.
Oh, interesting. Because I think I've heard two different versions of autonomy too, like autonomy with the charging and autonomy with the driving. But autonomy with the charging is really interesting. What do you all
Why
think?
else should I need the charger? My charger.
The autonomy in charging kind of affects the autonomy in driving.
Yeah, so
That's true.
Because if you're kind of limited compared to a regular car, right? With a regular car, autonomy in driving is greater. But if you have the wrong connector, kind of, then your autonomy in charging, if that is not given or it's very little, then it also affects the autonomy in driving because you get even less far.
Okay. Well, we can break the rules and do both then for autonomy in charging and autonomy in driving. Any objections to breaking that rule and doing 2 needs instead of 1?
Yeah. So what if the car is self-driving?
Oh, now you are. No, Marco, it's forbidden. Only 1. You have already 4. Can we make a retro after that regarding
break the rule
scripting?
once. You break the rule twice.
Okay.
So no, I agree with these. I'm an EV driver, by the way. I don't have my own charger because I have enough public chargers in the area.
Got it.
Just 1 minute walk. So
Okay, then you already have autonomy in driving. This is why you never will be a customer of this company.
well, maybe I will because now with Corona, I'm not driving that much. But let's say I need to drive a lot, then there will be increased fear that I need to charge more. And I know that at the end of the day, the chargers are full around here. But I usually don't need them because I don't drive every day because I work from home.
Okay. So we've got an electric car owner who needs autonomy in charging, autonomy in driving. And I'm not sure how I feel about that other one.
Me neither. It's just a replacement of McDonald's. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to be replaced here soon. So then in order for autonomy in charging and autonomy in driving, we need the charger and the electric car and a connector that connects them both. Is that what we have so far?
Yeah, something like this.
Okay. And let's see if we can find like 1 or 2 more capabilities. Any suggestions?
Money?
Money?
It would block all this. So if I don't have the money, then
It's true. All of these need to be bought and paid for, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Ah!
Well, I need an electric connection to the grid.
That's a good one too, yeah. Electric connection to the grid.
I saw that
to some grid.
every map that electricity came back as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
To some grid? To any grid? To the grid?
No, just electricity.
Power grid.
No matter where it's from, as long as we have electricity, right? To
The
charge.
power grid, yeah.
What's the difference between charger and power grid? The charger is connected to the power grid.
Yeah, you have to draw the line somewhere, I suppose.
No? Well, what is the charger exactly? Isn't it the station? Kind of the...
Yeah, that's a station.
In public, it's a station. You go and then this is the charger, and maybe at home in your garage, it's built into the wall, right? But it's inherently connected to the grid because, I mean, otherwise you cannot charge, right?
Yeah, but only after it's built in. But it's not. Well, at the moment, it's a box in a Amazon package. It's not connected to anything. I could still connect it to my car, but still needs to be built in the wall.
Yeah. So do we need to like clarify that in our the grid, does it begin and end at the termination to the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
can depend.
electricity. That's the right word.
Okay.
It depends on the
But we want to focus on
perspective.
5 capabilities, and maybe those others are just too generic. Of course, yeah, you need electricity, and it's a commodity, right? This is kind of a given. If you don't have electricity in your home, kind of, then it's not the typical home, I would say. Not that it's a bad home, maybe it's out in the woods and you live a great life, and maybe not
In the cabin.
outside of the usual society or something, a cabin, exactly, in the woods. But typically
like this.
you have electricity. Just challenging if it's too interesting to kind of put electricity in there because it's too simple. Maybe there's more interesting things.
It's
But
completely
it's-
valid to have like a very abstract thing and also have very detailed things. It's just like, where do you want to put your attention?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have to connect these, and then it is the question. This charger must be able to be installed somewhere where it is near the electricity and it is near the car. Because if I am living on the fourth floor, then I have electricity, but the charger cannot be in the car of the car.
Yeah.
So availability or place to charge it.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably not put it into your standard plug. You need something special installed.
Yeah. And are we talking about homeowners exclusively, or do we differentiate between homeowner with own garage, or like you said, you live in a residential property renting style, you have your apartment in the fourth floor, for example, and I mean, what then with the charger that is still in the package shipped by whatever company to you, and where to install, right? Because then we would need to ask the question, can I install this thing in a house that I do not own? Right? Most probably not, right? Then it should be part of the infrastructure that you rent with your monthly rent that you pay, or something like that.
And you see, this is exactly the question. A charger is not yet on the electricity, so we have to get it in the near of electricity to connect it somehow.
This is really good so far. And what we're going to do is, instead of going deeper on the details or increasing the surface area of these raw materials so far, let's get them connected, and then we can iterate through the whole process. I want to show Marco evolution. I'm really just dying to. So
somebody tweet that. I want to show Marco evolution.
Well, yesterday I was doing the future backwards exercise with someone, and I got to say, no, go to hell. No, meet me at hell on the map. Anyways, Marco, could you do me a favor and copy all of the things in our lists and copy them over to the value chain?
So one observation about the technique with Ensemble, right? The way I thought is, well, I like that approach, was capturing everyone's thought. While I'm not sure, here lacks my familiarity, but usually the driver tells, or the navigator tells the driver what to do, and now the group tells it, right? It's like the kids on the back seat are like shouting left, right.
Yeah, we inverted that a little bit.
There.
No,
it's good or bad. I'm just saying I liked what Marco did, actually make it explicit, but we're DDers.
As a facilitator, I call this Heisenberg's facilitation method. So the model is always in uncertain state, and only when you really try to look at it, then it manifests into a certain structure. But before that, anything is possible. So I capture all the ideas in a fuzzy state.
Nice.
But
it was really great.
You did even an evolution, because you captured your ideas too. And this was a little bit...
Mine were just for jokes. I mean, I was just doing the McDonald's stuff. Yeah. Never mind.
So one thing, would we, to go on that, would you distinct it then in the color of the sticky? Where you say these are just random thoughts, and once they made it more concrete, you changed the color?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I didn't do that.
Oh, interesting.
I used the green ones here to make a joke here and there. Saying the car electric owner, yes, ECO, like an eco-friendly, haha. This is not a valuable sticky, this is just a joke, so they can go away after a while. But everything else is, because all the ideas were fuzzy, there was no, hey, let's commit to this, so everything is the same color. When you say, okay, this yes, this no, then I either throw them out, or then we could change colors if we want to keep the history. But
yeah. And even like as far as commitment is concerned, like nothing can really be committed in a span of a 30-second discussion. Like, so part of like what I think is fun is you get into the act of getting it on paper and writing it out, and it's a tentative commitment. And then over the course of the next 2 years, as you live your life and refine this model and iterate and iterate and iterate, by a week later you're 30 iterations in, then maybe you have a little bit more of a commitment because of the work you've done. But
yeah,
I like tentative commitments a lot better than like
so from I mean, I like this from all the DDD methods that I've used so far, from specifically from event storming. It's I really appreciate if everybody just puts out all the fuzzy shit on screen and then throw stuff out when you don't like it anymore. Or when you, even if after a 10-second discussion, like, no, this is wrong. Okay, go away. Great. But I feel that too much upfront discussion of what to put on the paper just destroys parts of the model. Just put it all out there. And this is when I have the role of writing stuff down, if that's one person instead of all the people, I'll try to do that. Just capture everything that I hear, even if it's McDonald's. And when I realize, oh, that wasn't part of the value chain, okay, move it to the side and then throw it away afterwards. That's fine.
But McDonald's is part of the value chain.
I know.
Uh-oh.
It always is.
No, but they have this public charging
Oh, that
for
wasn't
free.
even great. I thought that was actually a joke. Sorry. Yeah,
no,
thanks
they
for the
have
discussion.
public parking for free charge if you were during your eating. They had.
Okay, I'd say let's iterate.
Yeah.
And maybe set a timer. Also, just to have greater awareness of the time that passed by.
I was about to think that as well, Andreas, that we were lacking that. So let's consider the time 10, well, maybe 7 minutes, because someone wants to show Marco evolution. I'm not sure who it is.
Okay. So we can take 1 minute probably and draw all the value chain connections here. So start from the bottom to the top, and we can do this with a pen tool, or we can just use the lines between them. And everyone pitch in. What depends on what else? Just jump in and see if you can find the connections here. We're going maximum anarchy now. All right, and even if this is wrong, I'm gonna assert that it doesn't matter. That by the time we iterate, we'll have something better and it'll be okay. Money. Tried to take it from you, Kenny. I was like, give me the money.
No, because they say it's for free, the charging at McDonald's, but nothing comes for free. You need money to make it free. Okay.
All right. So now I've got an evolution template copied over to the right of the value chain. And all this is the value chain with now physical space differentiated by the 4 stages of evolution. Simon has like friendly names for them. He calls them Genesis, custom built, product, and commodity. And I see that you're copying that over. Perfect. Excellent. And basically, besides the visualization approach, one of the things Simon did was a bunch of research about basically how things change under supply and demand competition. And so evolution is descriptions of qualities that things have as they evolve. And so Simon's saying, look, this is a constant. We need to appreciate these qualities. Some things are low failure. Some things are high failure. Some things are uncertain. Some things are highly certain. And there's a spectrum of possibilities across that whole range of things. And the way that we approach those things as a result of those qualities needs to change as well. So if we can note them down and say, hey, this is a high failure thing. It's in Genesis. Well, then we can have a discussion about how we need to make failure safe. Whereas if it's a low failure thing and it's in commodity, well, we need to have discussions about how to make things the same, or maybe whether or not we're the right provider for this. Maybe we should outsource it.
Is that always a true relationship? Can't there be low failure things in emerging? Well, now that I think about it, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Nice rubber ducking, Marco.
Yeah, I'm a good duck.
Oh, we all. It was an ensemble rubber ducking.
Oh, ensemble duck. Yeah. And for fun, I say for fun because it's terrifying to look at. Down below, underneath the map template is like a big table, a wall of text. I like to start with just 2 or 3 of the characteristics, like failure, which is the lowest blue row. So failure is like high and expected in stage 1, moderate, unsurprising if wrong, but disappointed in stage 2, and so on and so forth until stage 4, where it's like surprising, like, oh, this failed, weird. So like the power grid, unless you live in Texas, failure is super, I'm just kidding. especially if you live in Texas, it's in commodity,
Oh.
right? It ought to be surprising if it fails. And so we can just kind of reverse engineer where we think each of these things are and position them according to this evolution. And then that is going to set us up to have some other conversations about what to do about the map, what sort of moves are available to us. So I saw you all like positioning stuff. Is there anything here in the way things are currently positioned that anyone disagrees with? So for example, McDonald's free charging for potassium overload isn't custom built. I have questions, but by all means.
I would say the charger is definitely custom built. I mean, it's not a product that you can just buy off the shelf for electric cars right now.
No, I was also thinking the same thing. Or maybe it's moving from product to commodity, or from custom built to product. Yes.
I think I'd probably argue that it's custom built to product somewhere on the line there, because Tesla and other brands are they want repeatability, because for, at least for themselves, they want to deploy things with consistency. And so even if you have to go to a different company to get one and they would have to custom build one for you, it seems like someone out there is starting to get some repeatability from it.
Okay, so that's a question I have here. I mean, these things like Genesis custom build or product rental are perspective dependent, right? If I'm Tesla, it might be custom build, but if I'm Mercedes, I might rent that from Tesla. So we need to choose a perspective, like we are this company, and then we can build a map. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you can take a perspective that's local and work within that if that's useful. So inside an enterprise company where everything is just screwed and you don't have any access to the global market, basically, like maybe you'll just focus internally for the first few steps. But if you're looking at the Tesla versus Ford versus somebody else, you might have to take into account the full global market. And then you can make a map where you just say, hey, Ford is here and Tesla's here and we're here. And there's like 3 instances of that one thing, and like, this is how it's basically a reflection of our individual biases.
That makes sense. Why is the car owner a product or rental?
I would say generally we put the users above the map. And so you can kind of consider this a non-existent like positioning. And sometimes people put a user journey up here too. And it's not evolution, it's a process above that line. But you can do anything you want with maps as long as the meaning is meaningful.
And now it's an actual map.
Yep, it's a map.
Like
Not yet.
It is
Simon says not yet.
Simon says not yet.
Okay, what defines a map? I mean,
the evolution, a Wardley map. So it is a map, but it's not a Wardley map.
Okay, that's okay.
A Wardley map becomes if we have evolution.
So just for all the people in the audience, when you say Simon, you mean Simon Wardley, the inventor of Wardley Maps, right? Because we always say Simon says, and
but we are in a meetup called Wardley Mapping.
Well, never assume that everybody reads up front.
So movement is what's missing. Is that right?
The evolution, the movement.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so
towards solar panels, or towards this problem, but Andreas said, I don't have my own house, I rent one, I cannot build anything there. So there's a company, they should target these people and should move something in that direction.
So how is the map changing?
Offer a new kind of charger, which doesn't need to be installed in the wall, but a mobile charger.
A new charger without electricity.
No, without the wall. Without the wall.
Well, you can buy them on poles, right? So it's just a thing. You can either install them on your wall or on a pole. It doesn't really matter. It's just a unit. Is that what
you are just killing my evolution. Okay, then get you an evolution part.
I would actually support Christina's evolution and saying the charger that needs some strong power current or so right now. We can build one that has batteries in it and that just gets powered from a normal plug that you can find in any wall. So you can charge it up slowly, and when the car comes in, you can release all the energy quickly to quickly charge your car. By doing that, Maybe you can even do a long cable. You can put this in your flat and then just put a long cable out of the window to charge the car. That's also possible. But yeah, make something that works with a household power plug instead of a high energy one, high voltage one.
So that's maybe one. See if I. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Someone wants.
Yeah, I was just thinking like instead of charging yourself, maybe it's an evolution could be a replaceable battery pack.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. So.
Okay.
Like the milk delivery folks come by with your replaceable battery pack for the next morning.
Yeah.
With the cow.
Cow powered methane.
Yeah.
So you called it, Christina,
Evolution.
Something where you can. It's not stick to the wall, but
mobile charger.
Mobile charger, and for that you need the battery pack, right?
Yeah.
I've seen these things before where what's the problem in a public garage is that there's only 8 sockets available and people are there, and then the something is already charged, but then the car owner is not there. So I saw this thing where the battery is just mobile and it will just plug in, and once it's done it will go to the next one. So like a queuing system, right?
Wow.
Kafka. Okay, but can we make it colorful somehow so that we see that it's a movement?
So I think mobile charger would be in a decent bet for them. Or not?
Yeah, exactly this way. So, but we need to make it visible that this is our strategy.
Yeah.
Our
question. Is the mobile charger replacing the charger? Is this a substitution play?
Can be an additional market, additional target.
So I think, so the problem here, if we go into that route, is public chargers, or even maybe in your neighborhood where you can share maybe this mobile thing, just pitching in here. But usually when I go abroad, because I'm an electric car driver, when I go to a public station, they're all full, right? And I don't want to own my own charger. I just want it charged. So I don't care where it is. It's the same with the car, actually. I don't want the car. I want transportation, but let's keep the self-driving part out. But all I want is to be charged. And usually things here get locked up. So then something to be able to move it mobile, I think that's the strategy play here.
But how you visualize it?
Well, I'm not sure if it's replacing the charger.
Here's something that I'm wondering about. Like, if right now we have fixed chargers, and the natural evolution of the charger concept is to make it mobile as an inherent attribute of it. Are we comparing charger 1 versus charger 2? Where it's like, here's the new charger, it's charger as a service, where you open up your app and you look it up and you can just rent a charger for 5 minutes or whatever and then exchange it like that. Is it a shift in evolution from early product to late product for the concept of a charger? That's what it sounds like Christina is describing, to me at least, but I don't know. I'm not like an engineer around electric charging. So I'm kind of curious what you all think.
Yeah, so instead of a fixed charger, where you need to go to the charging point, the charger will come to you where you want it to be. Something like that, right?
I hope we go in that direction as we had 200 years ago with changing our vehicles, not vehicles, horses. You had a horse changing, and I think the only ecological way to solve this is changing the battery. So subscribing for that battery pack, because the batteries are terrible. They have a terrible footprint. if everybody owns his own battery and change it every 5 years, this is terrible. You don't want, I don't want to go there. So I don't want to charge. Actually, I would like a subscription for batteries. Somebody come and change it and go away. And we are using the same batteries, all of us.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting totally hooked into that idea to optimize this actual domain now. We can take that idea, right, of switching batteries and you know, say like the battery becomes something like a commodity or a battery exchange service, but also make it a hybrid solution. So everybody who has a house can own a charger that is stationary, and you can register them in an app. So you can go anywhere on your trip and just park at a house, register with your app. I'm going to charge now, bloop, bloop, and then you get in half an hour of charging and you continue. But you can also charge all the empty batteries if you're sitting in the restaurant anyway and eating a steak or a vegetarian meal, because you're driving a Tesla, sorry, and then you can charge all the batteries, and now you have extra batteries to spare that you, or extra charge to spare that you can give other people by giving them batteries or by extra actually exchanging the power via cord. So making the energy itself, the thing that we're trading, no matter if it's by cable, wireless, or by providing a physical block of energy, that should be something that is interchangeable, right? So we want to get into hybrid solutions where the streets can get us inductive energy while we drive over them. We have solar cars and non-solar cars, and all this should become a huge disorganized network of chaotic energy providers and consumers that are all kind of cloud managed, but also not depending on the cloud, of course, because that would be a horrible failure state. But
and I have a bonus for you. We don't pay taxes because we don't have any energy left. It's German taxes.
That seems to be your stick right now, but I don't care about taxes actually.
I think it's mind-breaking. It's the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how would you visualize what do we want?
Off to the right, I thought I'd throw in a couple tables from Simon's book. So Simon Wardley. At the top is climate patterns. And climate patterns are just kind of like the rules of the game. And so once you have a map, you can kind of just learn about a couple as they're interesting and see how they would play things out. And to Christina's point, like, where's the movement? Where's the change? So for example, everything evolves through supply and demand competition is one of those. And we just played that out a little bit. We said, okay, a charger could evolve and become, you know, the other counterpart there is its characteristics are going to change as it evolves. And so what does that mean? Well, if chargers are everywhere, well, it means we could have just switch the batteries instead of dealing with, you know, toxic batteries that each individual person owns. We could share them. And it's like, when we just play out those patterns, what are the implications? A world where a charger is in every single home, what are the implications of that? And so you can go through those different patterns and sort of find interesting little insights there. The other thing we can look at is under the gameplays, accelerators, decelerators, different modes that you can take to sort of enable people to change the way things are playing out. So for example, user education is a great way, like that's a good play in a lot of cases, just so people know how things work so that they aren't susceptible to fear, uncertainty, and doubt that might come on your favorite news station, you know, or something along those lines. Or if you want to create a collective, do an open approach around how to, you know, change the building codes or how to solve these problems, do it in the open so that anyone can contribute. And that's another kind of accelerator. Companies don't want to do that because then they have to share the upside maybe. So there's a lot of different moves that you can take. And just by spending a little bit of time with each one to learn what's out there, you can kind of start to see the possibility space now that you have all the parts defined on a map. I've done like to the right, there's like an opportunities prompts thing. It's just a question version of some of these ideas. And this is one of the ways you could interrogate the map together to find out if there's an option that is being missed. Like, could we make friends around one of these components? Is there anyone else with this concern? That's what Build Alliances is about, for example. So that's kind of where you could take the map once you've got it. Getting here can be a pain. But once you're here, you got all this stuff that you can do, and then you can iterate and make it better.
Yeah, I
That's
think
pretty
if you
cool.
put now not only this user, but also the mission and vision of a company, then
Yep.
you could become really scared if you say, okay, our plan was to create a different charger. Now we have 2 chargers. And with this, we even make the world worse because we enforce this behavior to have batteries at home. But if this is what our company decided 5 years ago or 5 months ago, what do we do? So
Yep. It's like decision debt, like
yeah,
decisions made without intention.
exactly.
So, Marco,
Yeah.
did he show you evolution?
Yes, thank you very much, Ben. I now actually get it. I really, so the history I've told Kenny before the session started is like, I've been dabbling with Wardley Maps for 1 or 2 years, just looking at talks, looking at maps people made. I drew my own map at some point. I was like, it was always a static map, never really the evolution part. And I was always wondering like, yeah, it's a nice discussion starter. It's fine, but this is not really a valuable method in my eyes. So I was wondering.
Thank you, Christina, like for making us
Because
get
I
to that
paid
point.
attention
Yeah.
to Twitter. It was on Twitter, and it was my aha moment. And then I get all this from everybody else. Everybody knows this.
I didn't. Thank you, Christina.
No, no, you were on the other end of the chain.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really cool. And oh my God, these walls of text, thank you for that. I have to work through them now, really read through all the details. Do you have any tips on how do you keep all these maps, all these graphs and tables in your head when you start playing? Do you just take the paper with you and pick one, or do you get used to actually using that at some point? What's your heuristic of working with Simon's book?
So I admit, because I spent so much time making maps, a lot of the times the mapping concepts play out in my head. And it's not that I'm making a map in my head so much as I'm remembering that evolution is a thing that exists. And oh, it's affecting this thing that I'm working on. Oh, and that means I can analyze its qualities and go compare out in the market how other people are treating this thing.
Yeah.
It's little heuristics like that. But the other thing I would say is just stay small. Yes, you can build big maps, and I think that's an okay goal to like do if you really, really, really want to have all the detail in one view. But I really recommend staying small in all things. Like make small maps, make a lot of small maps, and then don't worry about consuming all of the various words, characteristics, tables, all that stuff. Don't do it all at once. Like don't view this as an all or nothing thing. Just bite off a little bit, learn a little bit, and then do a little bit more. The game is not who has the total knowledge about how all this works. The game is who has more knowledge than other people from a competitive standpoint. And honestly, building competence is the alternative to competition. We could be better together just by knowing a little bit more than we know today. So small, little, tiny steps around that. And I'll hawk this for a minute. There's a really cheap Wardley Mapping workbook that you can get on Amazon. I'm sorry to the trees, but you can get on KDP. And just look for Wardley Mapping workbook. It's probably like $6 or something like that for most folks. Sorry, Australia, it's more expensive around you because printing's apparently more expensive down there. But it's got the tables in the front, and it's got these templates that we were playing with. And I like to carry just one of these in my bag and just kind of like scratch some stuff out and throw it away, scratch another one out and throw it away. And yeah, there's no like clean mapping, like perfect mapping. It's just a lot of messes, and then you know stuff, and that's okay.
Thank you very much.
I never had the feeling of the need of the clean mapping, but this is a huge amount of tools and knowledge where you have to jungle and okay, now I take this one, now I take this one, and this is really, I don't know how to keep the overview.
I think what we're missing is a lot of smaller tools. Like I view this more as like a giant pile of raw material. And I'm hoping that more people feel interested enough in it to say, oh, we could cut off this part of it and pull it out and just turn that into a canvas and run that in our meetings about some specific topic. I really do think it's a bit much to take in all at once, for sure.
My copy will arrive on Thursday, June 17th. So I just bought it. Thank you for the tip.
Thank you.
So I think this is the same as with domain-driven design in general, right? It's for a newcomer, it's a totally overwhelming topic. If people ask, hey, what is DDD? We had in our virtual DD community, we had discussions about what makes you a domain-driven designer for 2 hours, and it wasn't even nearly done. And there's so much stuff you can learn. There's so many methods. It always feels overwhelming when you start, but there's always guiding principles of with what to start, and then you get step by step, you get into it. And I think, I'm going to look into this book that you recommended, and even just this Miro board, which will, I think we'll keep it public, right? Non-editable but commentable. So anybody's invited to go to this Miro board and just look at all the tables we put there to grasp the first concepts of Wardley mapping. And then begin your journey by just doing mapping. I think that's a thing with all the great methods. Just start doing them, figuring out what doesn't work, and then ask questions. Ben is on Twitter, so I'm going to invite you to spam him and all the others.
Always welcome.
Yeah.
So how was it for the rest? Any questions from other people who are still here with us?
Yeah, I would say compared to other Wardley mapping sessions, it felt we cut off relatively early, I would say, because I would say you even grasp it better when we kind of apply more doctrines or those opportunities, go deeper into that. And how could you apply these? What would make sense now to each one of those capabilities that we put in there on the map, and look at it? How would that evolve over time? And yeah, there's just more to it. And just
so
Marco,
much
for you to it, I can only recommend just watch other mappings with Ben, with Cat's Hotel, just examples. It's you need to invest a little bit of time, but for me the examples really helped a lot. And just go to another meetup with Ben, like I did, where I had the pleasure to be driver and navigator for for a short while. But that helps, just doing it, right? And Ben, like you always say, just the mapping act itself, not the map as the artifact, just the mapping, talking with other people. This is kind of most valuable. And just throw the map away after, just make dirty maps, right? We even talked about have some coffee stains on the digital version, right? To just Kat talks about inviting for other people, right? Do not look too clean. It should look like you throw it away afterwards. So don't hesitate to participate. It should be inviting. It should be dirty, and to be clear, you throw it away afterwards.
Yeah, and in this case we won't, because then it's for share. But yeah, I definitely agree with the throwing it away. Cool. Anyone else before we wrap it up? And okay. So I got a proposition. Shall we do a DDD mapping? What's DDD? What's in DDD in this format next time in smaller groups? Would that be a nice idea?
Why not?
You mean a Wardley mapping of what is domain-driven design, or mapping of what is DDD in? Okay, Wardley mapping, yeah.
A Wardley mapping of what's domain-driven design, or what's virtual DDD. Maybe on what's the need of virtual DDD itself. Can be really challenging.
Going full meta.
Going full.
But you said, Marco, we had 2.5 hour discussions what makes us a DDD, and we don't have one line or silver line. And this can you try for a year at least to make this Wardley mapping on DDD? I think this would be, it's too big. I like the idea with virtual DDD, because you can grasp it, you can define the boundaries and where it starts and where it ends. DDD, it's, I wouldn't go there.
I feel challenged.
Yeah, it's a very challenging.
So we're going to talk about that. And for people still watching this, thanks. We're going to talk a bit more after we close the stream or not. We'll see. But well, thank you all for coming, and see you hopefully at the next virtual DDD. And Ben, many thanks for sharing your wisdom. And everyone who participated, thanks for making this happen, because it couldn't be done without everyone here. And have a great night, evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you are.
Soccer.
Bye-bye.